Because I have a little extra time, I have some, I want to call fun questions, but we'll see if you think they're fun in about a second. You definitely worked in the theater, and I'm curious if you have a favorite place to act in, like your favorite theater, and what's your favorite place to actually watch a performance?
Ooh, I think my favorite place that I've performed in the theatre so far is the National Theatre in London, because it has a kind of amphitheatre layout. So the audience feel really close when you're on the stage, but when you're an audience member watching, the space feels huge, and so you get the epic feel of the production that you're watching. But it can still feel intimate as an actor, which is really nice. So you don't feel like you have to stretch so far to reach everyone. So that's probably my favorite place to perform and to watch. But I do also like smaller theatres as well, because then everything's super up close, and you feel like you can get proper access to the actors and the story rather than feeling like you're miles away.
Are you still recovering from the Game of Thrones unaired pilot thing not going? Have you gotten over it, or is it still like a little bit like, man, I wish that had gone?
For myself personally, I'm over it, because I try not to hold on to these things too much. I think it's important as an actor to learn to be able to throw things away, because there's so much flux in our industry, particularly just, being any kind of freelance artist, there's lots of flux. I felt sad because I felt like the story that Jane Goldman had written had some real potential, and I was really excited to see what was going to happen with it. And as a Game of Thrones fan, I felt like it was a really ambitious take on the world. But I've moved on. There's stuff's happened since, so it's cool. I can pass it on with love.
Yeah, you've landed on your feet. I'm also a big fan of Jane's writing. I was very disappointed. But jumping into Bruised, what was it about this character in this script that said, oh, I want to do this?
Well, when I read it, I found Bobby Budokan to be quite mysterious. There's not lots of information about her in the script, which is always really intriguing, because, that can mean one of two things. Either the part's underwritten or the part's leaving you lots of space to, fill in the blanks and figure out for yourself what that mystery is about, and then make a decision about how clear that is to the audience or not, how much you wear that on the surface or not. So I felt like there was lots of scope with this character, and I was also just really excited to be in a film about female fighters. I was like, oh, I haven't really seen something like this before. So to be a part of that world was really cool. And then the added factor of being able to be British in it, which was something that kind of came by accident but really made sense once we decided on it, was also a nice thing to be able to do.
Halle Berry, this is a very ambitious for her directorial debut. She's starring. It's an MMA role. It's just like she bit off so much. And what was it like watching her do this? Because this is like, she really went for it with this, everything about this.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. And people say the term life-changing often, and they kind of throw it around in a way that I think is a bit flippant, but I really mean it. To watch somebody like Halle Berry, who for my whole life has felt kind of, inaccessible, in the sense that that's Halle Berry. She's got this kind of huge label around her, and she's the only Black female to win Oscar for Best Actress so far, and she was a part of my childhood when I was watching film growing up, and I was watching her both in her element and in new territory at the same time. A very experienced actress, but also somebody who is embarking upon a new project as a director, and then doing those two things simultaneously, and then doing her own stunts, and she worked so hard. It was incredible to see her tenacity, to see her work ethic, and to see the grace with which she handled it. It was so wonderful. So I really took a lot from that, as somebody who wants to try and do, not just acting, but other different things as well. I took so much from that experience.
I love learning about the behind the scenes of the making of movies and TV. what do you think might surprise people to learn about the making of Bruised? Or, if you have any really cool behind the scenes stories you'd like to share?
I think what was so lovely about, not so much surprising, but so lovely about the project was that Halle really wanted to feature New Jersey, and the actual community of New Jersey, and really get an essence of the spirit of the place into the film, so that it wasn't just a kind of ambiguous location where we were filming because it looked right for the picture. And I remember one day, our trailers were at one point on the side of the road, and Halle was walking out to go to set, and there was a lady driving a school bus, and she stopped and she leant out the window and she was like, "Oh my God, is that the Halle Berry movie?" And Halle turned around and was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh my God." And all these kids were in the back, like, didn't know what was going on. And I found that really kind of endearing, seeing this sort of, Hollywood and the local community kind of crashing together in a really sort of beautiful way. So I really enjoyed that part of it.
I would imagine you watched MMA fights and learned about the MMA prior to making the film. Was there anything that you learned while researching this role that really surprised you, or you wanted to sort of take with you?
Yeah, firstly, just watching MMA is kind of incredible because there's a real brutality to the sport, but it's also really beautiful. And when I was watching Valentina warming up, in the cage on set, I just was like, I do not want to be anywhere near those kicks. Like, wow, and they were just warm-up kicks. And as somebody who's done a little bit of, sort of basic kickboxing myself, I was so in awe of the sportsmanship and the athleticism of these people. But also hearing their stories, was a big part of it for me, because I don't fight that much in the film at all, really. That's not my role in the film. So for me, it was really important to understand who these people are, who these women are, and how they've got there. And, the stories that they bring with them into the cage, what they're fighting for, and who they are as people. That was a really, really important part of it for me, because the story isn't just about fighting in the kind of physical sense. It's got so much more to it. So yeah, that was a huge part of the learning process for me.
On that note, I got to stop. I'm just going to say, really enjoyed your work in this. Wish you nothing but the best, and I hope the film's a huge hit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Stephen.